What is a human, anyway? One answer to this question comes from Alan Watts, who said, "A human is an aperture through which the universe is looking at itself." With this inspiration, we can develop our own answer by understanding where we live and where we come from. Our universe is governed by four fundamental forces. The first three forces, the strong force, the electromagnetic force, and the weak force, primarily affect the fundamental particle. These forces are responsible for holding together nuclei, atoms, and molecules, as well as determining the way in which particles react with one another. For example, the electromagnetic force is the reason we cannot push our hand through a solid door. The fourth force is gravity. Although it is the weakest of the forces, it is the dominant force for shaping the large structures of our universe, like galaxies, stars, and planets. This brings us to Earth. With these forces in mind, we can look at our chain of evolution and start to understand where it is that we come from. Our evolution started 2.1 billion years ago, with the emergence of the eukaryotes, cells with a nucleus, just like the cells in our body. The first animals appeared about 590 million years ago, and the first humans appeared 2.5 million years ago. Modern humans, aka Homo sapiens sapiens, like you and I are today, turned up just 200,000 years ago. Just like all of our ancestors along the chain, evolution has left humans with a basic set of needs. In our case, air, food, water, and rest. At this point, we could stop and we would be left with an outline. But as we all know, humans are extremely complex, so let's take a look at human history. In his book Sapiens, author Yuval Noah Harari discusses the three major revolutions in human history. The cognitive revolution occurred 70,000 years ago and is when humans started to communicate at a level never before seen. We began to talk to each other about things we had never experienced with our senses, that is, religions, myths, legends, and fantasies. This is how we began to collaborate in large numbers, and is also what separates us from the other intelligent animals. The agricultural revolution occurred 10,000 years ago, and is when human groups were allowed to move away from hunters and gatherers, and were able to take on a variety of lifestyles and specializations, because they no longer had to spend all their time gathering food. This is also when culture began, as separate groups of people began to act differently. The scientific revolution occurred 500 years ago, and began a period of unprecedented growth of human impact. This is when humans began to assume ignorance and started to ask questions, as well as find answers. This leads us to where we are now. As of March 2017, there are 7.5 billion humans on the Earth, and with that, there are dozens of divisions of science and art which are devoted to studying and understanding what we are. Our question can be asked in philosophy, psychology, biology, chemistry, physics and quantum physics, mathematics and statistics, and many more. This channel will explore what we are, weaving in and out of these topics, with the goal of cultivating critical thought, discussion, and education. In conclusion, I will leave you with one of my favorite answers to this question, which comes from the English philosopher and writer William Hazlitt, who said, "Humans are the only animal that laugh and weep, for they are the only animal that is struck with the difference between what things are and what they ought to be."